Plucky, feisty, spunky. If you're the Portland Trailblazers, you've heard all those descriptions over the years. And look, they're compliments, don't get me wrong. But the thing about Damian Lillard and CJ McCollum is that they aren't here to be anyone's cute little spoilers. They're here to win a championship, which is why when the Blazers had a rough preseason, it raised some eyebrows. It's why there was even more talk after Portland turned in a 20-point loss in its season opener, a game in which Lillard, gasp, went on a scoreless streak in the first half. Yes, Portland had dealt with a rash of COVID absences, but wasn't this the team that had one of the best off seasons in the NBA, with Yusuf Nurkic back at full strength, with Gary Trent Jr. blossoming and Robert Covington and Derrick Jones Jr. coming aboard? Questions piled up about why the Blazers weren't, better. It turns out that those questions were being asked internally, too. And what has happened since? Well, no one is winning a title in Game 2 or 3 of the regular season. But it is hard to get where you want to go if you're not even walking down the right road. And Portland seems, at least finally, to have found its path. First, over the weekend, an overtime thriller against Houston, in which CJ and James Harden each dropped 44. It was hardly a statement win. The Rockets only had 9 players available due to their own COVID issues. But it sure felt noisy, especially when McCollum, who'd spent 4 days listening to his name come up in Harden trade reports, buried the game-winning 3 with 6 seconds on the clock. Afterward, he said, quote, "I know I'm nice," which is amazing. And then last night, a date with the defending champs, the team that had knocked the Blazers out of the bubble. With both LeBron and AD on the floor, this one was more of a real test. And despite some streaky play, the Blazers passed. Gary Trent Jr. was exceptional off the bench, hitting from everywhere to finish with 28. Nurk and Enes Kanter combined for 26 rebounds. And Damian Lillard just caught fire when he had to do moves like this on his way to a 31-point night. Yeah, you can check out the handles on the way to the and one. But the real story was the Blazers' defense, which had been the focal point of the front office this offseason. The Blazers have been trying a revised scheme, even bringing in ex-Bulls head coach Jim Boylan on a 3-week stint to help implement it. But for a while, it seemed to be making things worse, not better. Until it didn't. Whatever clicked for the team defensively in the second half of the Houston game was on full display against the Lakers, with Rocco all over the place, making steals, deflections, even making Anthony Davis look like a mere mortal as Davis finished the game with just 13 points. Meanwhile, Derrick Jones Jr., full airplane mode on LeBron, bounding in from the three-point line to give the Finals MVP a taste of one of his own signature moves. The Lakers had gone into the night 59-0 in games which they led after 3 quarters. That had been the 5th longest streak in NBA history, and the Blazers broke it. It was a well-rounded win in a shortened season where every win counts a little more than usual. Of course, only time will tell what wins like this mean. Is it one of those impressive sparks the Blazers have lit all the time over the past few years? You know, wins that make a team plucky? Or is it the beginning of a larger flame, one that really could burn down the whole league? So, Vince, do you think that this Blazers team can join the rank of title contender?
They put the right pieces around it. You have shooting, you have rebounding, you have airplane mode, who is their shot blocker. I think everybody is going to have to play at that level, elite level, all year long, all playoffs long, leading into it. I think Zach Collins, getting him back is going to be important. And also having Carmelo, because there's a guy who can get you a bucket when you need it, that demands attention and the double teams. You know, it's tough. The West is tough, and they're in a situation where if they play well and you have a good record, you're like, oh, they're playoff bound. And, you know, I think they just need to get in. And they're a scary team to beat because of their scoring. Gary Trent Jr., who's a rising star and another complimentary scorer, they have the ability, but, you know, they have to stay healthy, and we'll see.
Right now, they're short of that, I think, but they're contenders to be contenders, and that's a good step for the Blazers. You have to put them behind Lakers, Clippers, and Nuggets after what Denver did in the bubble. You have to put them behind all those teams In that next tier of teams, Utah, Dallas, Portland, I think Portland has the most to prove. Utah has a longer track record of being a good defensive team. Portland's defense was a disaster last season. As Vince said, Covington, Jones, the return of Zach Collins, they've got the tools there to be an average defense, maybe a slightly above average defense. We just have to see. And then Dallas has what you really want if you want to contend for a title, which is one of the apex predator wings. 6'7", sees every pass, can score from all over the floor, and that's, of course, Luka Doncic. It's just tough sledding in the playoffs when your two best scorers are small guards, and those guys are incredible. Dame is incredible, and CJ is nice. Just like he said, he's nice. He's got the deepest bag of tricks in the whole league. It's just they've got more to prove. They've got more to show us. But given their resources, given what they had to work with, they've put a pretty damn good team together. And all you can ask for in that situation is, are we one ankle injury from a rival? Are we one big break? Are we one trade away from being in the conference finals? And I think they can get in that conversation. But top-tier contenders, they're not there yet.
Yeah, but I will say this. I think adding Covington is going to be essential for them because they're going to need somebody, like you said, to guard Luka Doncic. They're going to need somebody to guard LeBron. Some of these big Kawhi. Some of these big guards, these big scorers, and Covington, like you saw him guarding AD, he's going to be very important to their squad. He's going to have to stay healthy because I think, like you said, with the small guards, when you're seeing Luka trying to post those guys up, you can throw a Covington on him, and Covington can guard 1 through 4 and maybe some 5. So he's going to play an important role to that squad.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.